Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. Folks, we're hearing a lot, of course, about the Luigi Mangione case, and it hinges upon what we like to call in New York City stop, question, and frisk, and lawyers like to call it stop and frisk because they like to leave out 33% of the procedure, which is in their favor because the question part of it can raise the level of suspicion up at least one level. So the stop and then question, if the person stopped, starts lying and giving incorrect information or false information to the officers, that can raise the level of suspicion. And we know the three levels of suspicion are mere suspicion, reasonable suspicion, and of course, we know the arrest phase is probable cause. But attorneys and advocates of or against the police like to call it stop and frisk and not stop, question, and frisk. And that's inaccurate, especially the press likes to refer to it as stop and frisk. And every time I have ever been interviewed on a show, I quickly tell them you're incorrect by calling it stop and frisk. It's called stop, question, and frisk. If I gave you $1 and took 33 cents from it, would you be happy? No, you wouldn't. So don't take this police procedure that's perfectly legal and came down as a Terry stop from the Supreme Court. Don't steal 33% of that procedure because you wouldn't be happy to get 66 cents on $1, would you? And they wouldn't. So that's a little trick I use to them. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the Luigi Mangione case today, and specifically the stop from the Altoona, Pennsylvania police. And what does it mean? What did they do correctly? Did they do anything incorrectly? And are the attorneys correct in calling for the suppression of the evidence recovered during this stop? And we'll discuss that, and we'll keep an open mind. We have a lot of people in the chat that are very vocal about this and calling us names. You don't know what you're talking about. Blah, 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 blah. And so we want to address that. Most of these people in the chat are, YouTube lawyers. YouTube, what do they call them? Little keyboard lawyers. They don't have a law degree, but when they're in front of that keyboard, they certainly do. Anyway, folks, hold on to your hats. Hold on to your loved ones. Hold on to your cup of coffee. Hold on to your wig. Hold on to your toupee. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone, the police off-the-cuff zone. There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
And now a word from our sponsor. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. So, BetOnline. But folks, Mando whole body deodorant. The thing that I like most about Mando body deodorant is that it lasts all day and leaves me feeling clean and fresh. It doesn't quit even under the harshest heat and humidity. The fresh feeling keeps me dry and confident. No need to worry about unsightly sweat stains. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code in capital letters, police, POLICE, at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Joining me today, of course, is crowd favorite. I always say that, crowd favorite. He is a crowd favorite and fan favorite. Professor at Albertus Magnus College in Connecticut, retired NYPD Sergeant, and attorney, man of reason. Welcome to the show, Professor Mike Geary. Welcome, Mike.
Bill, good to see you. Good afternoon.
You know, Mike, so much is happening like behind the scenes with this Luigi Mangione case. And of course, what the attorneys are attacking is the evidence, because the evidence is damning. The evidence is powerful. The evidence does not lie. So let's attack the evidence and how the evidence was recovered. And that's what they're looking to do. Another thing that makes this case very controversial is the fact that Luigi Mangione, his defense fund, has raised now, I believe, right from his defense fund, right from the page, $728,700, Mike. So when people see that, they're like, wait a minute, isn't this guy accused of cold-blooded murder? Why is there all this support? And that's what makes this case so controversial, because he's accused of shooting and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. He's accused, he's innocent until proven guilty. He's accused of shooting him in the back, a very unpopular CEO, because he's a CEO of a company, United Healthcare, that turns down the claims of average citizens. And many of them, according to the reports we receive, have died because they were unable to get their claims approved to move forward with certain medical procedures. So, very unpopular person that was murdered here. But do we forget about the crime because the cause was just? Your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, Bill, the idea that the cause is just is based on the idea that, a person can take the law into their own hands as a vigilante and execute someone who they are upset with, someone who they've never met before, someone who, in this case, Luigi Mangione has never dealt with before. He's never indicated that he himself has been the victim of any sort of medical malpractice or any sort of issues with an insurance company. So that's really strange. And sadly, public support does seem to be very strong. John O'Bonham in the chat asked if it's still strong, or is it wavering? And right now, John, it appears that it is still pretty strong. He's got over $700,000 in his defense fund. Now, he will never, ever see a dollar of that. That's going to go to the attorneys, and they're going to bill against that. So they're going to do really well in this case. But this case is very controversial for those things, but also for the idea that his defense attorney, Ms. KFA, Karen Freeman Agnifilo, she's going to be contesting his guilt in 3 jurisdictions: Pennsylvania State Court, New York State Court, and also in a U.S. federal district court, giving her 3 opportunities to try and exclude the evidence against him. And you're right, the evidence is extremely damning because he kept pretty much everything that he had other than the bicycle. He kept it with him when he was arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Very strange case, very strange set of circumstances, and very strange character who appears to some people to be almost like a sympathetic Robin Hood in a weird way when he's a cold-blooded killer. So it's very, very unique set of circumstances, to say the least.
You know, Mike, one of the things that I find sort of hypocritical is that Luigi Mangione is accused of shooting the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson. His family, the Mangiones, own 12 nursing homes. Is he shooting what represents his family? You think they're clean as a hound's tooth, his family? They own nursing homes. You know, people, when they go into nursing homes, have to give up all their worldly assets to pay for it. You know, if you have a house, they take it. If you have money, they take it, you know, and you may be unable to even contest that. So here he is, this rich kid, this rich Ivy League kid, who is like moralizing about United Healthcare. And I'm not saying United Healthcare. I've heard a lot of bad reports about United Healthcare. However, he's from the same cloth that United Healthcare is cut from, Mike.
Yeah, it is really strange. And it is really ironic about that his parents are involved in the healthcare of the elderly. Now, when you think about it, what would happen? He kills Brian Thompson. He feels very, very virtuous about killing Brian Thompson over what he feels other people are suffering at the hands of this company. How would he feel if some relative of an elderly person in a nursing home died in that nursing home for what they think is a lack of care, and a relative shoots the owner of the nursing home, or shoots Luigi's own father for owning the nursing home? It is really strange and ironic that this person feels very virtuous, and there are people out there that are giving them the thumbs up. Yeah, it is really, really, it's another twist on this case, that this is the kind of setup that we're looking at: a person of privilege whose own family is involved in providing health care on a daily basis to elderly people. Very ironic.
You know, Mike, in the same way that I find Karen Friedman Ignifilo, KFA, from now on, we'll call her KFA, railing about how he was treated by the NYPD in that perp walk. But who is running the website for Luigi Mangione and for his defense fund? Who is? His attorneys are.
Right.
Is that not self-serving and benefit? Of course, look, they want to make sure they get paid. So that money, as you clearly said before, is not going to Luigi Mangione. It's going to his defense fund. It's going to his attorney. It's going to pay his attorneys. It just seems ironic to me also that the attorneys who are railing about the media coverage and this was violated, that was violated, they're doing the same exact thing, in my mind, by keeping this out there so to make sure they get paid.
Yeah, anytime a defense attorney holds a press conference pre-trial, and I don't even like when prosecutors do it, but especially to me as an attorney, when a defense attorney does it, I think it's terrible. It's a disservice to their client. They're grandstanding. They're getting their name out in public. She's done everything she can to try to turn the media circus to her advantage. We saw a perp walk, and you and Phil have done them hundreds of times. And this one was a circus. I agree 100%. Anybody want to criticize that perp walk? I'm 100% behind you. I support that. But she's not any better than any other politician right now, or any other commentator on the case, because she should keep her mouth quiet, do her talking in court. The idea that she's doing the self-promotion, and I think part of the self-promotion is not only for her, but it's also to get money for the defense fund to make sure that she gets paid for all of her services, and so because this is going to be dragging on for a while. But it is a media circus. This is nothing different than the Johnny Cochran dream team. And I think Johnny Cochran was an amazing attorney. He turned the LA District Attorney's Office on its head, tied them into knots. And she's trying the same thing. So she's no better than the people who she's criticizing.
Well, you obviously see the thumbnail on the screen. An anonymous $30,000 donation boosts Luigi Mangione's legal defense fund to over 608,000. Now that's dated a little bit because it's now over 720 something thousand. So to many people, he's a cause celeb. He's the cause. He's a cause celeb because he killed an evil, evil man, the head of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson. So many people forget about the murder. No, the murder, that's okay. That's okay. He shot a man in the back with a ghost gun. Again, he's innocent until proven guilty. They have video of it, all right? And they follow the evidence. They connect the dots with the evidence. Many people are saying, oh, he's never ID'd by his face. Okay.
Sure.
That's why we talk about connecting the evidence. I want to play this from a news station.
We've obtained the documents found in Pennsylvania by Luigi Mangione's Blair County attorney, looking to have evidence in his case thrown out.
Mangione was arrested in Altoona in December for his alleged involvement in the killing of the United Healthcare CEO in New York. Brock Owens has the details on the latest legal move in the case and what a legal expert says about the strategy. Brock.
Yes, Sean, Mangione's defense attorney says Mangione was initially told he just looked suspicious when he was beginning to be surrounded by police at the Altoona McDonald's. Now his defense says law enforcement did not take the proper steps collecting evidence and are challenging if everything from the gun to the written manifesto can be used in court. In December, United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson's suspected killer was arrested at an Altoona McDonald's. Now evidence collected at the time of the arrest is being challenged.
We believe that when you look at all the facts surrounding that, that the stop, arrest, detention, whatever you want to call it, was illegal. And as a result, we want the judge to exclude, that means prevent the Commonwealth from using that evidence at trial.
The document filed by Luigi Mangione's Pennsylvania attorney, Thomas Dickey, says that includes evidence like the alleged ghost gun, a suspected 3D printed suppressor, and a notebook with Mangione's manifesto. Dickey says there was no warrant for the search and calls it illegal. Local attorney Matt Zatko says the initial search at the McDonald's could have been to protect law enforcement.
I disagree with that because they were there for over 20 minutes. So if they thought there was some kind of threat there about that bag or whatever, no, they probably say that, they always do, but they would have done it then.
Dickey says Mangione was taken into custody and questioned for about 15 minutes before his Miranda rights were read, and says any statement Mangione made should also be thrown out. He also argues that Mangione should not have been taken into custody for providing false identification after correctly identifying himself. But another law expert says he disagrees.
Absolutely. I mean, once they've identified him as the wanted suspected killer out of New York, there's an absolute obligation to take him into custody.
Dickey says he's looking forward to their day in court, and another attorney says the challenge filed may work for the defense.
It's quite possible that the things that were found in that bag could be suppressed and could be not allowed into his case in both Pennsylvania, and it would apply to New York as well.
Mangione faces charges in Pennsylvania, New York, and at the federal level. Dickey tells me he is often in contact with the New York defense team, and that evidence will be challenged in New York as well.
So the big question here, Mike, is, first of all, most people that follow us and follow true crime, they don't know the law vis-a-vis stop, question, and frisk. And notice I called it stop, question, and frisk, not stop and frisk, as the media and these attorneys cause. This attorney is representing Luigi Mangione. Of course, he's going to find fault with everything the police did. But it would be ridiculous if police were required to approach someone that is reportedly the suspect from a murder in New York City. And this is coming from a third party. This is coming from a call to 911. The guy that is wanted for the murder of CEO Brian Thompson in New York, we believe he's in McDonald's. What human being, whether police or not, would approach someone that just murdered someone and approached someone with not the most amount of caution? That we discussed this off the air. My gun would be out approaching Luigi Mangione. And guess what? If it wasn't Luigi Mangione, I'll dust him off. I'll apologize to him and he'll be on his way. But guess what? It was Luigi Mangione.
That's right, Bill. Mr. Dickey is entitled to his opinion. And that's fine. That's his job as a defense attorney. He wouldn't be doing his job. He wouldn't be zealously advocating for his client, Luigi Mangione, if he did not try and suppress every bit of evidence. If I was in Mr. Dickey's case, I would be doing the same exact thing. That's his job. But let's look, as you say, let's look at the encounter. The Altoona PD responding officer is responding to an 911 call of a man who looks possibly like the wanted guy that is whose picture is all over the nation at this point, because I think the homicide occurred, a week and a half earlier. So therefore, he's going to that thinking, okay, I know what the picture looks like. I've seen it a million times. I have somebody who's a witness who says they think that there's a guy in Altoona McDonald's who looks an awful lot like the suspect. I get there. What do I see? I see a young male with dark hair maybe in his 20s. Boom, that's 4 things right there that convince me as a reasonable police officer that this may indeed be the guy. It's not an 80-year-old geriatric World War II veteran with a cane, who's in a wheelchair. No, this is totally different. I got the male, I got the age, I got the gender, I got the physical description, I've got the hair color, maybe the eye color, because you could see that on some of the photos. And I approach him. I'm going to have my gun out. I'm going to point it at him. Like you say, you make a lot of stop, question, and frisk. People don't realize how many stop, question, and frisks are done on a daily basis by police officers. We don't arrest every single one of them. A lot of times, maybe 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 7, do you actually have the right guy? Because there's a lot of people who have, especially you get a male with say dark hair who's like 5'9", slim build, that's going to fit an awful lot of people. So therefore, the cop has, in this case, 4 things that he's looking at right away when he walks in that McDonald's. I'm having my gun drawn. I'm going to tell him slowly, put your hands where I can see them. I'm going to talk, who are you? What are you doing here? I'm going to ask him a question. I'm going to pat him down real quick. That's perfectly allowed under Terry versus Ohio, 1968 United States Supreme Court case. And then at that point, I'm going to see, do you have any ID on you? Okay. And so therefore, the police officers at that initial stop, question, frisk did everything correct when they confronted Luigi Mangione.
Mike, just to give the audience a little background, within stop, question, and frisk, there are 3 levels of I call it the ladder of suspicion, right? Mm-hmm. 3 levels. The first rung of that ladder is something called mere suspicion.
That's right.
Which allows an officer to go up to someone and speak to them. Common law right of inquiry. They can speak to that person. The second level of the ladder of suspicion is reasonable suspicion. Under reasonable suspicion, and this is from the Supreme Court, not from Pennsylvania. So you people want to say you New York cops don't know what you're talking about. This came from the Supreme Court, not Pennsylvania. All right. So this applies in the entire USA. Okay. The second level, the ladder of suspicion, is reasonable suspicion. And that gives police officers all over this entire nation the legal right to stop, question, and frisk, so they can do a pat down. They entered this encounter, in my mind, immediately at the second rung of the ladder of suspicion. They had reasonable suspicion right out of the box. Now, the question the lawyers will have when they stopped Luigi Mangione, when they entered this McDonald's, was he under arrest? Was he in custody? And my answer to Attorney Dickey is no. He was not. Was he free to go? No, he was not. Does that automatically mean custody? No, it does not. Because cops across this nation stop, question, and frisk under reasonable suspicion. And if the person is not the guy or the gal who's wanted for a crime, it never rises to probable cause. And they do a report, a stop, question, and frisk report, and that person is free to go. So the argument that he was in custody is a very thinly veiled argument that attorneys love to use. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Bill, as you said, when you go from mere suspicion to reasonable suspicion, All you need is one objective indication that this guy is the person you're looking for. And in this case, there's at least 4, okay, right off the bat. So we absolutely have reasonable suspicion. The moment you see this guy and you make eye contact, that is reasonable suspicion. They come up to him. They're going to detain him for a short period of time. This isn't a seizure that needs a warrant or anything like that. This is solely a detention for a short period of time while the police conduct, as quickly as they can, a rapid investigation. Who are you? Where are you from? That sort of thing, trying to figure out, they pat them down to make sure that they are safe, because statistically, police officers, you get these kind of cases where, you get a suspect. And if you don't do that, then you are putting yourself and the rest of the public in danger. Because what would happen if you didn't, and he thought he could get away by shooting it out with you? So you have to be really careful, because as you walk into that Altoona McDonald's, you got 4 indications, objective indications, that he is the guy. So you're going to detain that person. He's not free to leave. You're going to detain that person. And if he shows you false ID and you're looking at it, and then and you ask him, where is, and maybe you ask him questions about, verify the information on the ID, whatever it happens to be. Do you have another piece of ID? If you feel that this is the guy, at any time you feel that this is the guy and he's lying to you, you can put the cuffs on him and arrest him, because you have now a probable cause to believe that he's given you false ID at the very least. So therefore, once you got that then allows you to do even more of a search. But yeah, the police, it appears, have done everything. This isn't, high level, 300 level constitutional law. This is basic constitutional law for police officers 101. They did a good job.
Mike, I want to just read. This is from Find Law, and I'm going to cut to the chase. The court held that while investigating suspicious behavior, an officer may lawfully pat down the outer clothing of someone they reasonably believe to be armed and dangerous. A pat down aims to discover weapons that the person can use to assault the officer or someone nearby. In other words, the objective is to ensure officer safety. The court concluded that a stop and frisk doesn't violate the Fourth Amendment, which prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures. Because of the name of this landmark decision, many people now refer to a stop and frisk as a Terry frisk or a Terry stop. Limitations to stop and frisk: while the officer doesn't need probable cause to stop you, they must have reasonable suspicion that criminal activity is underfoot. In addition, they can only frisk you if they reasonably believe you are armed and dangerous. So any contraband officers find during the weapons pat-down, such as illegal drugs, can usually be used against you in court, but it would depend on the circumstances. So I'm not going to get too deeply into this, but the officers arrived on the scene with someone calling, say, we think Luigi Mangione is in the McDonald's at this location. Any officer worth his weight, all right, this is the guy wanted for the murder. And again, wanted, he's innocent until proven guilty. We're not having a trial in McDonald's, right? I'm going in there with my gun out because the guy who shot and killed the guy in New York had a gun. So he's not getting the jump on me. I'm getting the jump on him, right? So you arrive with reasonable suspicion right out of the box. So that means stop, question, and frisk. At some point during this encounter, Luigi Mangione is placed under arrest. Handcuffs are put on him. He's under arrest. He's in custody. So what do we say in this channel all the time? In custody plus interrogation equals Miranda. So now these officers must read him Miranda if they intend to question him, right? Intend to interrogate him. I don't know what the basis or what their questions were to Luigi Mangione. Did the interrogation start in the vehicle en route to the police precinct? That's not known to us right now. However, let's go to what Luigi Mangione was carrying, all right? The manifesto, if that's what they're calling it, the notebook. Perfectly good, perfectly good. That's discovered during the stop, question, and frisk, right? The firearm allegedly was inside his backpack. I would have searched that right on the scene, because he was said to have a firearm. Allegedly, the Pennsylvania officers from Altoona didn't search the backpack till they got into the station house. Still good search. They
Right.
did not need a warrant, and because it's called an inventory. Mike, you elaborate on that.
Oh yeah, once they put the handcuffs on him for the initial violation of giving a false document, the driver's license. Once you have somebody in handcuffs, they are now going from detention, a really brief Terry detention, to a custody, which is an arrest situation. They have him in handcuffs. They do a further, quicker, a little bit better search of him. They can look now at the things around him that are in lungible area, that the backpack or whatever else was on the floor, maybe a bag or whatever he had a couple of, a foot away from him. They can do that. So that's post-arrest search. It does not need a warrant, because we know warrants are that judges give warrants based on the existence of probable cause. When you arrest someone, you have probable cause. So therefore, why would you then go get a warrant from a judge? You take that bag, whatever it is, you look inside of it. As you say, you're going to inventory it, because it might have personal effects that he might get back later on when everything's taken care of. But you look in there, because you remember, you're going to see him because you think he's killed someone in cold blood with a firearm. Okay, so you're going to look and you find a firearm. That's perfectly good. That's a post-arrest search.
Mike, can I stop you for 1 second? Because I just know that many people in the chat are going to ask this question. Does it matter that 20 minutes went by from the time they took him from McDonald's under arrest into the station house till they went through the backpack?
No.
Does
not
not
at all.
matter, right? I don't think that's good police work, to tell you the truth. I think they should have went through that backpack right on the scene, waiting
Yeah,
to
they
get
should
into
have
the
put their
station
hands in
house.
there to look and see before you get any further, but they didn't. All right, it's a little careless, but that doesn't necessitate now a warrant, because it's still an exception to the search warrant rule. It's a clearly long-standing established exception to the search warrant rule. You can do a post-arrest search. They should have done it a little bit earlier. They didn't. Doesn't matter. They got in the station house. As you say, they could inventory it. You've got to inventory things. You just can't take things off a perpetrator, look at them, and give them all back. The person may have.
Yeah, Mike, how ridiculous would that be, right? The guy's arrested. He's going to jail. Yeah, let's give him his backpack back that has a gun inside it. I mean,
Right.
It's just the lunacy of some of the people in the chat that they're all keyboard lawyers, not warriors, lawyers, and they don't know the law, but they spew this nonsense. Anyway, one of the things also, Mike, and I'll get into it in a second after I go to a quick commercial. I want to talk about the conduct of the Altoona, Pennsylvania officers. We'll get to that in 1 second. Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories. If you like real crime, true crime, from a police perspective, you're in the right place. And if you're not subscribed, just hit that subscribe button right on the screen. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the like button. Share us with your friends and your family. And if you want to contribute to us financially, we have a Patreon with 4 different levels. And we also have a YouTube channel membership with 5 different levels. We appreciate all of our friends, our fans, and our subs that keep this show going and keep us working all the time. All right. Thank you very much. Anyway, let me get back to Mike. So Mike, now they arrest him. Agreed. The arrest is perfectly good. The evidence recovered on Luigi Mangione, his manifesto, his backpack, his clothing, all evidentiary materials are perfectly good. No search warrant needed. This is the law of arrest. All right. Now they get him into the station house. And I don't know at what point they read him Miranda. Was it in the vehicle going to the station house, or was it in the station house? In my mind, they shouldn't have interviewed him at all, because the big case here, which is important to get a statement, to get a confession, is the murder in New York City of Brian Thompson. So I think if this was an experienced Pennsylvania officer, he should have waited until the NYPD got there, because all they had was possession of a firearm. And it wasn't really, the big case is the murder. So for them to do an interview and interrogation, it wasn't helping the New York case at all. In fact, I would argue it would hurt that case. The other thing is, I just want to mention this because I think it's so important. If you are a really astute officer and really paid attention to all the things that were happening in the Luigi Mangione case, you would have known that when he checked in to the hostel on 103rd Street and Amsterdam Avenue, because this was all over the news, I'm sure police departments all over the nation got a teletype about it. He produced a fake license with a certain name on it. When he was stopped, when he presented that, boom, you knew you had the right guy right there. Handcuffs right on him, because first of all, he presented a false ID. That's criminal possession of a forged instrument, and it's criminal use of a forged instrument, of both felonies right there. So I don't know. That would depend on, did the Pennsylvania officer know that? Did he recognize that? So I can't put that in his head to do that. But if he did know that, you had 2 felonies right out of the box, Mike.
Yeah. Now they get him, they arrest him, they got the handcuffs on him. They should have looked in the bag. They didn't look in the bag, but that's fine. They take him back to the precinct. Somewhere along the line, they should have read him Miranda. They could have Mirandized him in the car. You know, sometimes you do it right at the scene. Sometimes you do it in the car, but you always have to do it. When I was a desk sergeant in the 3-0 and they'd come in with a suspect, I didn't care if he was Mirandized out in the street. I wanted Mirandized right there in front of me so I could witness it and sign. And we'd also have, if you remember those old forms, the arrest form, you'd have the guy sign that little Miranda sheet or refuse to do so. And I would put it in the big logbook. So he'd been definitely was Mirandized, absolutely, at the very least, when he got back to the Altoona PD. Now, Mirandizing somebody is custody plus interrogation equals Miranda. He is absolutely unquestionably in custody. Now, the question is he going to be interrogated? If you're asking a person, what's their name, what's their date of birth, what's their height, what's their social security number, what's their address, what's their phone number, you know, do you want us to call anybody? Those aren't interrogatories. Those are not interrogation questions covered by Miranda. That's pedigree information. Miranda covers only custodial interrogation, and interrogation questions, and we've done this a million times, are, where did you get this false ID? Where did you get this, gun? That sort of thing. Those are questions that are designed to, if they are answered correctly and truthfully, they're designed to incriminate the suspect further. So just the pedigree is not covered by Miranda. So somebody could be in custody for 10, 15, 20 minutes, half hour, and all you're doing is getting pedigree information, which has nothing to do with the Miranda rule. It's an exception to Miranda. So therefore, they get him in custody, and you're right. They knew who they had at that point. They knew they had the right guy for the Brian Thompson killing. They should have brought him into the station house. They should have processed him for the lowest charge they had, which would probably be, I guess, the false license or whatever it is, the lowest one. Call the police and NYPD immediately saying, we got a firearm off a guy. This is the ID we got on him. We need you to come out here as soon as possible. We're going to hold him. We have him on a felony. We're going to be able to hold him for 24 hours. No problem. Get here as soon as you can. And then you question him. The problem,
Mike, if I was the NYPD boss that was called by Pennsylvania, I would say, please don't interview him.
Right.
I would ask them right there, but they probably already did. And it was too late.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's unclear whether he waived Miranda or not. And what happened when the NYPD got there? Maybe at that point he lawyered up. I don't know. But Pennsylvania sure made it difficult, in my mind, to do an interview and interrogation of Luigi Mangione by the NYPD. The other thing I have, Mike, is that when they took the backpack off of him,
Right.
and you've done this a million times in your police career, didn't it occur to you, this backpack's awfully heavy?
Yeah.
And what does that usually mean to a street cop, Mike?
It's a firearm.
There's a gun in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't go into that backpack, I have a problem with that from a police perspective, from a tactic perspective. And all these people saying, oh, they should have got a warrant. Shut up.
No.
Shut up. You're an idiot. You know, it's like, but they're all keyboard lawyers. You know, they work for whatever, Jacoby and Myers. They're all, you know, whatever, but they don't know the law. So, yeah, from a police perspective, that gun should have been recovered on the scene. And I don't know why, if in fact it's true, they took the backpack into the station house. And again, this is like rumors that they didn't go into it for 20 minutes. Is that true? That's what the attorney's saying. I mean, that's not good police tactics. It's not good police procedure. And I don't know if in fact it's true, Mike.
Yeah, tactically, it's dumb because once you got that person in handcuffs and you can transport them in your RMP, I want to know what's in that backpack. So it's going in my RMP. I want to know if is it a ticking time bomb? Is it a kilo of cocaine? Is it 500 fentanyl tablets? I want to know what's in there. I want to know what's the weight there, what's causing the weight. So the fact that they didn't do it right away, it has no constitutional effect whatsoever. However, tactically, I agree, Bill, that was dumb. That was They should not have done that. Because you're transporting something that you don't know what it is. No package goes into my radio car unless I'm driving, unless I know what's in it. Absolutely not.
Absolutely. I want to play something from News Nation, Elizabeth Vargas.
So just how unpopular is the health insurance industry? Well, one metric is the disturbing popularity of accused killer Luigi Mangione, charged in the sidewalk assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last year. Mangione's lawyers are trying to get their client out of prison by claiming that his arrest at a Pennsylvania McDonald's was illegal. That's according to new court filings, which claim police questioned and searched Mangione without reading him his rights. Mangione's legal team has a ton of evidence working against them. Surveillance videos, a backpack full of fake IDs, and even a handwritten message.
I just want to stop for one question. And I don't know if she's reporting this correctly, but Mangione's attorneys are questioning the evidence because, according to her, they questioned and searched him without reading him Miranda. That is not a requirement. That's where the public gets the idea that when a cop questions and searches someone in the act of an arrest, that he has to read this Law and Order bullshit. That's where it's coming from. TV. It's not required. But Elizabeth Vargas, great reporter. But if that's what the attorney said, it's not correct.
Yeah, there's no warrant needed. When you're approaching a criminal suspect, you have reasonable suspicion that this is the guy, and you fear that he may have a firearm, or even if you don't fear that he has a firearm, he's wanted for some other, say, a burglary or whatever it happens to be. You don't need a warrant. You don't need Miranda. This is an investigatory stop, question, and frisk. That suspect is being detained temporarily. Could be for 30 seconds. I've had people I detained for 30 seconds. I've had people I detained for 10 minutes. But it does not require reading Miranda. It does not implicate the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment right to an attorney. It does not implicate the Fourth Amendment in terms of getting a warrant. No, this is a street stop, question, frisk. It's a short detention. When talking to a person during a detention on the street like that, no Miranda is required. Nothing. Yeah, you're right. When they report these things, they're inaccurate. And, me and Phil, we shake our heads like, oh my goodness, they're actually getting the basic law wrong. And they should consult with somebody beforehand when they put this out there, because they're actually giving the public the idea that a police officer needs a warrant basically to do every aspect of his job. And it's not true.
Absolutely not. Let me go back to Vargas here.
Manifesto. But Mangione's defense fund now tops, get this, $700,000. Joining me now is News Nation legal contributor and Law and Crime Network host Jesse Weber. First, let's just start with this arrest in the McDonald's. Why are they claiming it was illegal?
Okay, so three things. First, they say officers didn't have reasonable suspicion that a crime was committed to ultimately question him, pat him down, and ask for his ID. But you and I both know, Elizabeth, he looked exactly like the suspect that was on TV everywhere else. Okay, you put that to the side. Then they say that when they approached him, they cornered him in the McDonald's, and they would say that he had a reasonable belief that he couldn't leave, that he was detained. And if someone is detained under the law, we can call that a custodial interrogation. If somebody is in custody, they have to be read the Miranda rights before they're asked any more questions.
So they're saying the Miranda rights should have been read in the McDonald's.
Correct. And they were, but later on. And they say because they didn't immediately read them to him, then anything he said afterwards should be suppressed.
See, that is garbage. That's absolutely garbage. But it goes out there, and people take that as the gospel truth, and it's not true. And look, all of this stuff will be litigated inside a courtroom with a judge. Don't believe us with a popo, but this will all be litigated. And most judges, they're going to side, in this case, I believe, on the side of the police. If you required the police to do what's being alleged here, they would be in so much danger. And no one's the craziness of holding court at the arrest scene is absolutely ridiculous, because throughout this nation, cops arrest people in dangerous situations on the street. You think they're going to take a half hour to hold court on the street? Of course not. Someone's being erased, stopped, reasonable suspicion, arrested, probable cause, get them the hell off the street immediately, or get them away from the arrest location immediately, because at the arrest location, cops are in more danger than the damn arrest sometimes. Mike.
Yeah, and I respect Jess Weber for his views, and he does a really good job. But when he's reiterating the points that the defense is making, the defense is going to say all kinds of things that, you have to give Miranda to every single human being you say hello to during your 8-hour tour of duty. No, it's ridiculous. A stop, question, frisk situation, whether there's two police officers and they've got somebody cornered where the person can't escape, or they have their firearms out, or they have the guy up against the wall with his feet spread and they're doing a quick pat down of his pockets. None of that requires the Miranda warnings be issued. Miranda is not when the person's being detained, is when that person is in custody with an arrest and you've got him in handcuffs and you're going to interrogate him about the crime. You're trying to figure out who exactly he is. He can't leave. You have him detained, and he knows that, but it doesn't require Miranda, and no court has ever said that in any state in the United States has ever said that. So therefore, I'm shocked that they didn't expand upon that and let people know that's only the version that the defense is trying to argue should be the facts and the law of the land, and it's not. The law some people will tell you what they want the law to be, and in Police Off the Cuff, we tell you what the law is and how it's applied. So it's kind of misleading what they're doing there.
Yeah, let me go back to it.
They put that to the side. They say then he was arrested and his contents were searched, the bag where all the evidence was found. Then they said there was no probable cause to ultimately arrest him. But here's the thing that I think the timing of this is important. They asked him for his ID. Do you remember what he was arrested for? For allegedly providing a fake identification. So if they had reasonable probable cause to arrest him, then they can also look at what his materials were.
All right, let's talk about this defense fund. It's $723,000 and counting. Could be $1 million by the end of the week. What is going on?
Just so you know, I've done this for a while. I have never seen anything like this before in my life. Now, I've seen support for people where you might say, the evidence is flimsy. I think they're being wrongfully prosecuted. I think somebody's on death row and they shouldn't be. But where you have the evidence where, and yes, he's innocent until proven guilty, but where the evidence looks really strong, like he committed this crime, and people are raising money to not for his innocence, but because they're in support of allegedly what he did. And you have these anonymous donors.
No, they're not just giving money. They're writing letters of support.
Yeah. So writing letters of support. It's very clear what this is, and how much was raised so quickly is remarkable. Remarkable.
Unbelievable. All right, we'll follow it.
Yep.
Good to have you on the show. Thanks, Jesse.
So, there we are. There we are with this case. 720 something $1,000 has been raised. We really wanted to get to the issues that the defense attorney is raising in Pennsylvania because to us, and again, we are the NYPD. We, the issues he's raising to us are absolutely laughable. And of course, KFA, his real attorney from New York, and I'm not saying the attorney in Pennsylvania is not real, but the charges in New York are the real deal. She's going to be doing most of the heavy lifting. She applauds this because she's going to segue after he does his work to claim some of the same things. But I think a Pennsylvania judge is going to allow all of the evidence in because it was legally obtained. And I don't see anything that these cops from Altoona, PA did that was at all illegal. I may question their tactics, but nothing was illegal. And some of you are going to argue they should have got a warrant for the backpack. It's something called, there's something called search incidental to lawful arrest. All right. And then if they don't like that one, we also have an inventory. Someone arrested, all their property must be inventoried. So if you discover something bad, something illegal in the inventory, that's perfectly good. You don't need a search warrant. And nor do you need a search warrant to arrest or search an arrested individual because it's search incidental to lawful arrest. Mike, I think we've covered this. It's like we painted 4 coats of paint on this wall. And your final thoughts, Mike.
For the people watching our show, look, Mr. Dickey and KFA and the defense attorneys, they're just doing their job. They're trying to make an argument, the best argument they could possibly make theoretically for their client. We're not worried about it because the police in this case seem to follow the law. No problem. We can always question their tactics. They did a good job. We see this with Ann Taylor in the Koberger case. We see this with the Rex Sherman attorney going, what's DNA? I've never heard of DNA before. This is ridiculous. The reliability of DNA is questionable. We see this all the time. Those are defense attorneys making great arguments for their clients. That's their job. That's their ethical duty. But in this case, no, I don't think Luigi Mangione is going to be, released from prison at jail anytime soon in Pennsylvania, New York, or in federal custody anytime soon and walking through your neighborhood. Not at all. The saddest part of this case is there seems to be a hardcore group of the public that supports a murderer based on some ideology. And that's the saddest part of the case. Other than that, the police did what they're supposed to do in this case.
Mike, you're 100% right. But you really articulated that totally correctly. And I just want to say to everyone, you could be upset with United Healthcare. You could hate the healthcare system we have in this country. You can even hate CEOs of companies. But it's never okay to murder someone because you don't like them or because they may be doing something with this large corporation that you disagree with. That's where the rubber hits the road. And once someone shoots someone in the back, you can't go cheering. Well, you can do whatever you want. But I think it's morally corrupt to do that, to cheer on this guy. Allegedly, he's innocent to proven guilty, that murdered the CEO of United Healthcare because he didn't like what he was doing. And that's my opinion. That's where the rubber hits the road as far as I'm concerned. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of myself, Bill Cannon, and Professor Mike Geary, thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless.
One episode just ain't enough.